You've set up Coach Dave as an online coaching business for sim racing. I mean, that's thinking out the box, literally.
Yeah, it started as a meme a year ago, just over a year ago. Um, I needed to make some extra money while I wasn't at racetracks because professional racing drivers are paid per day at the track. Um, and I had a YouTube channel which I'd been growing or working on rather, and it was starting to gain some traction over many years. So a lot of patience there. And essentially, one of the commenters said, "Hey, you should coach guys in sim racing." And I did it as a meme. I did it as a joke. I said, "This will never work." I put up a Coach Day thing on my website. And the next day I got a request. And I couldn't believe it. And it was like 1 or 2 a month. And it just eventually grew to this point now where it's myself, Jordan, Kelvin, another guy called Nick Foster, another guy called Dan Wells, who I distribute coaching lessons out to.
So how do you help guys from a setup perspective? Because I know that seems to be the bit that guys struggle with the most, because you can get in that car and have no idea. And that comes from you having real seat time in the real world, because a racing driver, maybe less and less these days, but in the old days, the guys used to actually know a thing or two about the mechanics. You know, they weren't just plug and play.
On my YouTube channel, I invite my real engineer, Chris, who's also South African, to be my engineer while I'm racing in ACC. People get to have a preview of what a professional driver or how we behave in a relationship and provide feedback for the right things. And a lot of my community gain value from that. The sequence of Barcelona, turn 1, 2, 3, is more important than the individual corners. And if you can understand that, then you can take that lesson to any racetrack you go to. That's the kind of coaching that I put across. And it's the same with setups. The one team that I race for in real life, Kessel Racing, they picked up on this. They heard one of my YouTube videos with Chris, and they contacted me and they said, "David, how do we also get involved?" And it escalated to the point now when I'm doing an ESRO event, I have not just Chris, I have another 6 people from Kessel analyzing data, if necessary, which for me is quite common, actually protesting an incident. Then we do an hour's debrief after each session. So
Wow.
It depends the environment. Yeah, it becomes very serious. And you must see the reports that my engineers write up. It's unbelievable. I wish I had that work ethic on the documentation side. So in the environment that I'm in, it is very serious, because it's not essentially that we are playing a game, which is true. And to be honest with you, do the results make the world of difference? Well, in my case, yes. And I'll get into why in a moment. But it's also, I have 8 guys who stick around for 10 or 15 hours a week preparing for an event. And if I go and crash the car on the first lap because of a stupid move, as opposed to something which isn't my fault, I've wasted their time, like exponentially. And that's a huge disrespect to my team. When I go back to them in real life, like, why would those guys respect me anymore?
Let's talk Charles Leclerc. I mean, are you sitting and helping Charles with his setup, getting him into sim racing? I mean, like, it's crazy. You wouldn't really have thought that was going to go down.
No, I thought it was a joke when someone said, it was a guy from Ferrari. He said, "Dave, Charles watching your stream. Can you help him with setup?" And I was like, "Yeah, haha." And 10 minutes later, I was coaching Charles Leclerc. But what followed on from that is that now I'm racing for Ferrari officially in virtual Le Mans, which I know it's just in the virtual world, but it's a dream come true for me. I live and breathe Ferrari since the day I was born. And yes, I race on the customer GT side, but next week I'll be in Ferrari the whole week. And if you look at the driver roster, I'm the only non-factory guy who they brought in the pro lineup, which I didn't actually realize. It was a blur because there was a lot of shootout phases. I had to beat all of the Formula 2 guys in their academy. Then I had to go up against the real sim guys, which is not easy, and try and earn this drive.
Dave, thank you for your time, for joining us. Super, super cool. And I think we've got a great bunch of South Africans that are doing fantastic things globally at racetracks. You one of them. We've spoken about Kelvin and Jordan and Sheldon and Tasman. There's so many. But also now in this new frontier of racing, that there's a South African that's at the top of the pile showing the guys the way. It's brilliant. Thanks for your time.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me on, and I appreciate that.